Okay. My first submission is from Jordan. Okay. So how to determine what areas are pervious and impervious in green roof? That's completely your decision. Okay. If you say this portion, I want to make it pervious, and then you just use 0.5, okay, 0.5 inches of rain, depth of rain. And that's on exercise 3, final instruction. So you should, again, make sure that, for instance, it makes sense to have pervious. For instance, in the plaza area, you can say it's pervious. But in the turnaround area for the buses or for the parking lot, for instance, if you choose this to be impervious and choose that to be pervious, then that doesn't make sense, right? More appropriately, the plaza will be impervious. If you say everything is impervious, that also could happen. Now, impervious parking lots are being built around the country as well. Some of them perform well, some of them get worn off, after a couple of years due to the turning of the automobiles. But you want to make sure that the area that are designated as impervious or green roof are more appropriate than the areas that are designated as impervious. Okay, so it's totally your choice which part you want it to be pervious. Okay. How to determine the size and location of the retention rectangles? Right now, the way you place them, they are indicative and they are correct. But later on, when we get more specific, you would know that. So for everything, for the delineation, let's see, my mouse is turned off. So everything within, for instance, this drainage area, drain to the lowest point, which is right here. Okay, so that's how that retention area is connected to this drainage area. So later on, your retention would be like this, and this one will be moved down here. So you can establish a physical connection between the curb cut and your retention area. But at this stage, you don't have to specify. That's for later, okay? So that's that. Let's see. What's the third question? Do we need to add retention where the stairs, ramp, and back patio? You need to add for the back plaza, but you do not need to add for the stairs and the ramp, okay? The ramp will just, sheet flow off to the side. The stairs, you would have later on some DI in this area, depending on where the contour goes in this area. But again, that's for later. Roughly, you say roughly combine, you could roughly combine the stairs and the back patio together as one, okay? All right, we'll take a look at the other areas. What I'm seeing is some of the plaza areas are not designated correctly, but the driveway and the parking lot seems to be pretty good. Some things that can be modified. Now, if you have a green inside here, then this is the drainage area for your green area. Okay, so if you have curb cuts here and curb cuts there, you would be able to collect water from this area into your green area in the middle. And the green area does not need to be colored, okay, because they do not contribute to new runoff. These seem okay. Those are all right. I would continue this line, okay? Continue this line until it hits the curb, because your drainage area doesn't stop right there. Oh, that's the ridge line. Okay, my bad. Yeah. If that's the case, if that's the case, it actually, okay. Your ridge line honestly stopped right there. That's why I got a little confused there, because your contours turned. Make sense? Because your contours turned, no, the water will keep flowing down that way. So there's the drainage pattern here is different from what you have on the ridge line there. So you should still continue that line until it hits the curb. Okay. That's the sidewalk. Okay, sidewalk should it look okay there. These areas look okay, except for you did not utilize again the green areas. Okay. If you utilize green area, it will look like this portion will be draining to your green. Okay. Not sure if this is wide enough to be a retention area, but if this is green and that is green, you would want to try to use them. Okay, so that area will be draining to your green. I'll move it to the edge so that you can see. So this portion, will be draining into that green area. Okay, so those are about the driveways and the parking lots. Now let's look at the plaza. Okay, you had two different colors for this area and that area, but honestly, they all drain to the swale. Okay, and realize that this area is under the curb and this area is on top of the curb on the plaza. They don't have the same destination, right? So that would be actually one of them. Okay, this will be one of them because all these water drain to the lowest point here, and you need to cut a hole on the curb here. Okay, and then this will be its retention area, and everything on top of the plaza drains to I still need to see a plaza line. Okay, your plaza is over there. That's okay. You can still cut a hole here. Okay, I wouldn't cut a hole here and direct the water all the way out of there. This is, if you want to keep this portion of the plaza, then no, we can just cut a small hole, still leaving some area for walking here and for walking over, crossing the retention area and coming to your entrance there. So small hole, small hole here for this area. And then everything else, right? Everything else actually drains down to what you have indicated here in light blue. So that's correct. Again, this color and that color needs to be the same, okay? Because they have the same destination. You do not need that one. This one is correct. That one is correct. And the same goes on this side. So that is one of them. Okay, I would probably just combine these two, because as you said, as you indicated here, I need a retention area there, right? I would not design the sidewalk with an acute angle there, okay? If I want to have a sidewalk here, I would probably stop right there. You know, this is hard to pave. It's really, nobody will have, people won't have enough space to step on this portion. So you might as well just end your sidewalk somewhere here and just do this, okay? So this blue area would, you cut a hole across the plaza, and then that's treated off the plaza there. And this one, you have it right here, that's okay. And then on the plaza, everything drains. So this portion, let me see, yeah, this portion is its own thing, right? Because it's under the curb, right? It flows to this point. Some of them flows to this point. So you actually need two curb cuts, two holes here. It could be a DI, it could be a curb cut. If you cut holes in the plaza again, here and there, you will be able to treat these two, right? But it's a really small amount of water here. So I honestly, I want to suggest moving the ridge line a little, but yeah, if you can even just move the ridge line a little, you wouldn't need to deal with this small portion of this water and put a DI. Does that make sense? If your ridge line goes just like that, and everything will be draining down there, right? This direction. So you wouldn't have a separate DI in this area. But again, you could make it work if you don't want to change the ridge line. I would recommend doing that. If you don't, then we will just add a DI later on. Let's not make an additional retention. I think that's too much of a trouble for a little water, okay? So this is necessary because you have water coming out of this area going into this retention. And then all the other areas on top of the plaza, they would come down to here. Come down to here. If it exceeds, okay, if it exceeds 5,000 feet, you cut another hole here, right? Cut another hole, and this hole will be able to help you absorb water from let me move it up. Again, perpendicular to the contour. Oh, my bad. The contours are this direction. So should be like this. It's not, let me just redo it. So all this is how much water, this much, okay? How much water it will be able to collect. Does that make sense?
I don't really know what you mean by like cutting a hole. Like, is that something that is in the actual like line work and contours of the file, or is that just like making a hole in the colors?
You would make part of the plaza into a rain garden. Get rid of the pavement and turn it into green. And because it is located on the swale, this pink area drains into the green here. So this is not plaza anymore. This will be green. Does that make sense? And it receives water from upstream. Okay. And is drainage area. So if I'm a water drop here, if I'm a water drop here, I flow perpendicular to the contour down, right? And this is the edge of my green area, and that's how much water I'm able to collect. And once I get to here, it keeps flowing down and it goes into this final retention area and doesn't go into the green here. Okay, that's why I was drawing arrows from the edge of the green area, the circle here, to show you this, the pink area is the drainage area of the green.
So would, like, what you drew in pink, is that its own retention area, and then the green that's behind it be its own too?
So in this way, I'm able to divide the plaza into more drainage areas so that you wouldn't have a huge drainage area that exceeds 5,000 square feet. So this is my attempt to further divide so that this portion from upstream goes into a retention area and everything else drains into the second one.
But every like retention area still needs like a retention rectangle, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you would keep that one, the 1105, the square marked next to 1105. That's the one that's correct. Okay. And this one, this one was not, just because all this water will not drain to they eventually drain into the same retention down at the bottom. The way that the only way you would make this work would be, you know, would be to install trench drains. If you install trench drains, one of the trench drains here, you can see, yes, all these light green will flow into this trench drain, and then you can direct them out, right? And then for this portion, not necessarily, because, you know, only this much water, I'm going perpendicular to the contour. Even if I am putting a trench drain to collect water along this edge, I'm only able to collect this much. Water here will drain perpendicular to the contour and then flow along the swale and come down here. Does that make sense? So that's why the original delineation wasn't as correct. So it's getting a little busy here. Let me try to clear some of them. I want to try to make that clear to everybody. So how do I think about the drainage on the plaza? So because this is a swale, right? If I'm a water drop here, I flow down perpendicular to my contour, and then I will flow down here. Okay. And the same thing, if I'm a water drop here, I flow this way and then I join the swale. So this color and that color, they have the same destination. That's why they should not be a different color. They drain to the same swale and then eventually to the original square you designated. If I want to break this down, the whole thing down, there are multiple ways, right? I showed you one of the ways of saying, you know, we can cut a hole in the plaza and make it into a green area. If I cut a hole here, then all the water that I can collect would be this much. Right? All these is the drainage area of this circle. So I don't need to color. This will be white, okay? This will be white because it's green. It doesn't generate runoff. And then its drainage area is the purple dashed area here. Now this becomes a new drainage area, and everything downstream, then you would work on, okay, is this the rest of the paved plaza smaller than 5,000 square feet? If so, you don't need to further divide it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. You know, I tend to go in detail for the first few submissions, and I hope this applies to everybody. And then I hope and I also went through some of these on Tuesday, so you should have plenty of review videos to watch if you want to go back. Okay. Okay. All right. So for yours, I would say still need to work on the roof and the back plaza. Okay, those are generating runoff, and you need to have a way, specify a way of treating them. Okay, I'll move forward. The next one is Carolina. Okay. Okay. I see the same issue with with not utilizing the green area. Okay, you have the G, that's great. But I think the T and S. So if this is green area here, come on. If this is green here, you would want to use them, right? You would want to use them by, oh, that's a terrible color. You know, all this much can go into the green there, right? And then all this can go into the green in the middle. If you need to further divide it, you can do so. And all this can go to the last one. Okay, to get it into that green. So that means, you know, we are reducing quite a lot of drainage area. Well, you have that, okay. You have that indicated in blue and purple, but the T, right? I would say the T is the one that doesn't need to keep flowing, okay, beyond the green area. So we can keep the blue and the purple, but we need to revise the T there. Yeah, the blue here needs to be revised as well, because the S, you know, some portion of the S will keep flowing down along the curb of this the island area. So it's the same, it should belong to the same as the T. All right. So it would not come around and then flow down to here. All right. So that's not correct. Let's do this instead. Okay, so that's the first one. You can keep the blue, the rest of the blue, and then you can keep the R. So the R makes sense. The O also makes sense. And P works. Well, if this is something that you cut into the plaza, then you need to delineate the drainage area for this one as well, right? So if this is green, I'm not sure if it is. If this is green, that will be its drainage area, right? So you can see it's actually better to put it down. Yeah, down. Everything is draining well. I see some issues with the design of the base map here. Let me try to zoom in. What you want to try to avoid here is for your ridge line. Well, I guess you don't have enough space in between your drop off and your building. So both of the swell line actually goes through your drop off. Yeah, it's hard to change at this point. Well, we'll live with that. Okay. Computer, it's not cooperating again. Try to quit some things. All right. So, we just talked about O being okay. P and Q, they actually belong to the same drainage area. Reason being, they are all draining to your swell. So your P and Q, they're essentially the same, drainage area. And your U works. So this and that, they all drain to the same. Well, you could reduce a little bit. No, reduce just that tiny little bit, and that goes into your green area there. And then the whole thing, the Q and P, they all go down to a retention somewhere here. Okay. How can we make it less so? I guess what you could do is you can install a trench drain along this curb. So that trench drain will collect all the water of the purple, of part of the purple. Okay, we just saw that this green area that you put it in, it's useful, but not too useful, not very useful, because it's only, treating that little area. Does that make sense? So a better way is it's to have the trench drain along the curb here. So everything from this point on, this plaza will all drain into, most of them, not all of them. I'm gonna erase that one. So all this all this will be draining into the trench drain along the plaza. Okay, the edge of the plaza. So that becomes a separate one. And then the rest of the pink goes into your swale. This color, the Q, also goes into the swale. And then you need to calculate how big that is. Okay. On this side, same issue, okay. Some of the F, and I, they actually belong to the same drainage area. Let's see if we can further divide. If we have, yeah, this is too upstream. So your green area here would be able to cut down that much. Okay, that's one of them. And everything else is draining into this swell. Is there any other way? Well, this is under the curb. This portion is under the curb, and everything is draining to either this location or that location. And this makes it necessary for you to put a DI somewhere here. Otherwise, this water would not be able to get out at all, right? In this case, it makes sense to put something right there. Okay, again, cut a hole, have a small retention area here, and then later on you would cut the curb there for that water to get into here. And you need a curb cut there as well for that water to get into here. So this little E, the color E, this portion of color E is treated with a small retention in the plaza. And the rest of the E will be joining the F. Yeah, you don't have any room left to do anything to add more retention area. It will join F and join this green and that dark green. And you know, eventually you need something out here because that's the end of the swell line. You could still, well, H, you might be able to say, I'm cutting a little bit of H out, right? So it could be, I make B a little bit smaller, and no, this is B. And then I have a H like this. And then that H comes out of here. And then everything else that is not treated is contributing to the final, the retention area at the end of the swell. So that might be pretty big, right? You could do the same thing. You could do the same thing as on the other side of putting a trench drain along the curb here. So that trench drain would, you know, receive this much water from the plaza, okay? In that case, I will get rid of this green, okay? I will get rid of that green because it is conflicting with the retention area that I put here, and it's not doing as much as a trench drain that I put along the edge of the plaza. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other questions about your submission? Okay. Derek? So the contours here needs to keep going. Okay, those contour needs to be keep going. And so that means some of the connections of the contour here needs to be changed. All right, so you need to push a few more contours here, but it shouldn't be a big change. Okay, that needs to go here. All right. If that's the case, then your delineation of drainage area works because they are perpendicular to the contour, right? So that area works. This line is not correct because it's not, well, it's following the original, okay? It was following the your old contour there, but now we changed the contour pattern. It should be going perpendicular to your contour. So depending on how big your pink is, okay, you could do something like this in case it gets over 5,000 feet. But that should be how your, this portion look like. Needs to be perpendicular, the drainage line needs to be perpendicular to the contour always, all right? So on this side, it's the same thing, you know, if my contours are like this, then I shouldn't have a gray a gray area that doesn't follow perpendicular to the contour, all right? So basically what you would have on this side would be this yellow works, but then that one, let's see, it actually keeps flowing down, right? The water here keeps flowing down, so you should combine the gray and with your brown, and then that's it. Just combining them because they wouldn't be divided by this line. Okay, they wouldn't. Keep going. These are okay, that looks okay, this is okay. Good, good. On this side, that looks okay. These two wouldn't be the same color. I would recommend that you do something like this. Okay, so this becomes one that's draining into your green area in between, and then the rest can keep flowing down. Okay. These seems a little too small. You do not want to make it too fine because then you need to create more retention area corresponding to your drainage area. So check the area for this little pink. I doubt that you need to separate it this fine, okay? I'm not sure where your plaza ends and starts. This triangle here looked a little suspicious just because you don't need to design the paved area in this shape, okay? If your plaza starts somewhere here, for instance, if it starts like this, then you basically would get rid of this triangle area and start with this edge of the pavement right here. Okay, so the B, go review the B and see where your plaza line ends. So you have the same issue with the swell. Okay, it looks like if I want to divide them in this manner, the lines will go a little differently from what you have now. You would keep going to the ridge to the swell line, okay? And this indicates that you would have a retention right there. And that's how you divide. Now I see the attempt. I see the attempt to further divide the plaza. But the orange is the correct way to do it. Okay. The yellow and the green, they actually belong to the same one. You wouldn't be able to separate them in this way. Okay. Again, I would modify the base map so my pavement would intersect with my edge of the curb perpendicularly. Okay, so this acute edge here is very hard to build. Okay, this is very hard to build, and that space is not useful because you cannot stand on it. So you need to turn the pavement to perpendicular to the curve. All right, so that's that. This portion, same thing apply, right? It would be divided by the ridge line, and if you want to divide it, it most likely will go like this. Well, we're going out of the swell this time, so if you want to divide it, it would go like this, all the way to your curve, to your swell, and then perpendicular to the contour on the other side. So that's how, that's how you divide the plaza on the other side, right? Same thing as we did on this side, okay? And then this will mean I have a retention somewhere here. Okay, again, work on the finish the roof, finish the back plaza. Any questions about this?
Pretty much answered it.
Okay, good. Right, keep going. Next one, we have Jen Harvey. I know you're online. Can you? Oh, you're here? Oh, sorry, you were online. Okay. So parking lot works. Parking space work. This portion, it works, and green area, okay. The same issue, your swell is already, is actually here. Right? So this means this whole thing in F and part of F and G and H, they all go into the swell there. So this one goes like that. Now let's solve the easier things over here. That looks okay. This is, these colors are following the contour line, so they're not correct, right? It should be perpendicular to the contours, meaning that I should divide in this way. So that is not receiving any water. And this is the curb, right? Is that the curb?
That is actually the driveway marking. That was the stacking space distance that I left.
Okay, so this is the curb.
Yes.
Okay. So in that case, you would divide it in this way, right? One of them, again, I don't know how big this is. And then second one. And then the third one. Third one is across the ridge, and that's it. And everything flows out of this and there and there. So calculate how big these are is hard for you to create 3 different ones for these 3 drainage area. So I suspect that you might need to combine them because, here you need to cut the hole, cut the curb through, and then they need to go somewhere, right? And they're so close spatially, and you don't have space here. You need to, create drainage area somewhere here, which means that if I create one additional, it doesn't really make much difference, right? So you would calculate how to divide this in a way that will relatively evenly divide into 2, and one of them come out and cut through the pavement, and the other one you probably don't need to. I think you could actually reduce the amount of pavement here. So honestly, if you don't have to cut through, the pavement to get to your retention, that will be a much better solution. If I can have one here and one there, then there would be, if the process is visible, right? You don't have to get into a pipe to repair it. It will be less vulnerable to damages. Okay, so I would find a way to try to, cut down some of the pavement, so you don't have to put a pipe under the pavement and then direct the water out for treatment, right?
Similarly, can I reduce the pavement on the upper side where I've drawn the red clouds?
Could you use the,
Can I reduce the pavement
mhm.
and add the bioretention area inside the like plaza space?
Yes, you can. You don't have a huge amount of R left here. So I don't think on this side it's necessary, but you probably need somewhere here to cut holes because the plaza area is pretty big, right? I know you have retention here. That's a big plaza and you want to add retention and you should add retention. Okay. Let's see. All these, right? All these, the M and the N needs to come out. This is the curb.
Yeah.
So you actually have the M going into, too big. The M needs to go into there. N also needs to go into somewhere, a retention somewhere here. All right. So this portion, let's take a look. You know, this red and this G color, they should go to the same place, right? If I want to have a retention, now I know we can divide the F. So F can be a little bit smaller. And it comes out here. And everything else actually all drains to the retention somewhere here. Right? If we want to reduce some of them, this is what the green can absorb. Right? So this one goes into this little green, but everything else actually, what you can do is actually you can put something here. All right. Then you can divide this portion. That portion can go into this one. That makes sense? And then the rest all goes into the swell and then go out to this retention. Now you need to calculate how much that is. It seems okay. It seems to me it could be okay. You can even make this a little bit bigger by putting the curb cut right there. Right? So that portion and the H is the same. Does that make sense? And yeah, that's probably all that you can do. And I think the G in the end might be smaller than 5,000 square feet. Okay. For up the plaza, if you cut a lot of holes, you may not have a lot left. And you know, these can go into the green area here. Essentially it will be that much, right? That much goes into the retention. And everything else, honestly, they all go into the G. Okay. All right.
The J area and the L, sorry, the yellow one and the pink one next to each other.
The G,
J,
Z,
the upper pink one,
I'm sorry,
the pink one next to yellow.
the next to yellow, this one,
Yeah.
J, okay.
So that was actually following the contour, so I was not sure about that.
The ramp doesn't go to the J. And all the J actually all go into your swell. That's correct.
Okay, but it was following the line of contour, so I was.
Oh, no, they should, the L and the J, they should be the same color.
Okay.
Because they flow into the swell here, right? Unless you're, well, I see that. Let me erase some of these. If you put something right in the middle here, then you would have a little bit of different scenario. Let me move this to the center like this. Then you would have all these go into the pink. Going into the pink area. Does that make sense? This will be one, right? That will be one. And then the rest of the J, you can imagine it keeps going down. And then it flows into, well, unless you have something else here. You could, no, this is pretty big space. You could have more additional retention area in this plaza area. But if you don't, everything goes this way and then flow into the parking lot and then goes along the swale and come down here. The same thing here, right? All the water that doesn't go into the swale here, it flows, no, the retention here flows down in the parking lot and goes into the swale and goes into the final one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if I have a larger retention area, that surface will not be counted in the calculations, right?
yeah, it will not generate flow, it will receive flow, yeah.
I have actually changed the ridge line and the grid based on the last review, so I just wanted to know if this is okay to go ahead with the exercise with timeline.
It's fine, if you wanna keep this version, as long as, you know, as long as the delineation is correct based on your, what's shown here, the contours shown on the map, you're fine, right? Yeah, you could, later on, you could choose to revise your contour a little bit, no, but you get the gist, and then the final grading of the retention, it's a different, it's a different process, and this rainbow exercise is actually for you to understand, know exactly which part of the pavement goes where.
Okay.
You know, you can change it later, that's okay.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I had one question here left.
Uh-huh,
So we consider sidewalks as well in the
yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and in this case, actually, the D, you would extend it over, because the sidewalk, they would just flow down the curb and then keep going.
Okay.
So this, unless what you do is that you turn the curb, you turn the contours here this way. Does that make sense? No, I am drawing imaginary contours here, right?
Okay.
And if the contours, once it hit the curb, it turns, then your water turn around and flows into the planter.
Okay.
You can do that. Now, basically, you have something going on down the parking lot, and then you going up the curb, but then you know slant the sidewalk the other way.
Okay.
Then that becomes a separate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, keep going. Need to check the. Think this is Dawson. Dawson here. Did I get the wrong name? Let me check. Yeah, it's Dawson here.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. In terms of color scheme, as long as, you know, we will be able to read and separate the color from the adjacent colors, it work, okay? It's not the final grading plan. It's only illustrative. How should my plaza look in regards to the shape of the so we went through the plaza multiple times. Yeah, the plaza here is a problem, okay? It is following the contour line. It should not, right? It should, most of your plaza would contribute to the swale. It is a little hard for me to read because I don't know where the boundary of the pavement is. I would take a guess. So your swale it's going this way, going that way. And I'm trying to guess where your edge of the pavement is. Where your edge of the curb is, honestly. This seems like the curb probably goes that way. And then this one, not entirely sure where your maybe this is the
Kind of have it just taking up the whole space
yeah, I know all this is paved, but I would what I want to understand where the curb is. Okay, so could be like this. Now let's assume that it's like this.
there.
Okay, if that's the curb, if this is a curb, then you know, okay, water will not cross the curb. Okay, it doesn't cross the curb and drain to the plaza. So these lines needs to stop at the curb. These need to stop at the curb. The same thing I would recommend using, however small, right? Using the green area for a little bit of a treatment. For this portion, it will be like this small little thing can go into the green. And the same here. Yeah, you have it here. That's correct. The red goes into the green. Otherwise, you won't have anything going into the, oh, okay, the pink, the lighter red goes into the green. That's good. Oh, these are good. But these lines, again, should stop. It should stop at the curb, okay? Because you have a drop-off area here. You have curbs in between these two areas. So the water will be, ponding somewhere here. It needs to come out. And we need to find places for it to come out. All right. Seems like you have to cut holes. Okay, you do have to cut holes somewhere here. Otherwise, these areas would not have any treatment. Okay, let's see. You need to have a few holes, maybe 2 of them coming out. Look into how big this is. I think you may be able to get it down to 2 drainage areas. Otherwise, you need to have 3 holes and 3 retention areas, and they might not be necessary. Okay, so this will come out there, and that will come out here. And your plaza doesn't seem very big. If they are over 5,000 square feet, you would create, retention area somewhere in the middle so that you can divide them, further divide them for each drainage area to be smaller than 5,000. I don't know if you have a green inside. I would hope that use, if you can use some of the green here, you then can avoid a really long flow path. You can kind of see, some of my flow goes all the way, flow really long to drain into the bottom. Okay, so if you can fit in a green, I would make this a separate one. I would make this a separate one. Okay, that's a separate one that goes into the green inside. I would also do something here. So I can separate the brown, right? One of that goes into here, and then the next one goes into the bottom one, right? So that's for the drop off and for the parking lot. Now we mentioned that everything here on top of the plaza, they all drain to your swale. So these are one color. Okay. So the whole thing here is one color. Basically, this is one color. Does that make sense? Yeah, and the same thing here. This is one color. Okay. Anything else? All right, good. Madeline? Are you here? Not Madeline. Madeline here? No?
I don't know.
Does she go with a different name? Okay. How about Devin?
Yeah.
Okay. Not online, right? Nope, not online. Okay. So, okay, looks good. D, E, F, G. P7, I would calculate P7, make sure P7 is under 5,000.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
And we have A, B, C.
I said a
And
letter through there. I was just.
oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. P8, 9, 10. P13. I would use a little bit of the green here.
Include that in the P13.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of doing.
Honestly, some of the P13 drains to the same place.
So I'm curious. You see how P13 goes over the sidewalk there, and then there's
Mhm.
just that like little bit of a area that like right here. Wouldn't water drain off? Shouldn't there be like a collection box in that area? Since it don't-
It will just keep going down and drain into your parking lot. That's
Oh,
okay.
okay, I
That's
see.
okay because it's pretty small.
Okay,
Yeah, if it's a huge area, then I would be concerned, but this one is really, really small.
then these, I was just like,
These can just sheet flow to the landscape.
okay,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming that this would just have a side slope and then
Yes,
just.
exactly.
But do I
Yeah.
just include that in with the,
It will be a different color because it's on top of
to
the
stop it
curve.
right there?
Yes, yeah,
And then just make that,
Mhm.
but that's under 1,000 square feet, is that okay?
that's okay. You don't need retention area for that. You can even just leave it alone because,
leave it
yeah,
even.
yeah, you could just say sheet flow.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming I can do the same there.
same
then.
thing. All those are sidewalks that can just have a side slope and then drain
Okay.
into the lawn area.
So this is where my stairs and ramp are.
Uh-huh,
I just
that
combined
works.
it into.
Yeah, that's
that.
okay. Yeah.
I saw one of the people projects, they had this divvied up too, like the top
Uh-huh.
of the building. Does that need its own?
Yes, because the roof
Drain off.
also drains, also generate runoff.
Would that just drain into these, which drains into
could.
those? Can I, when I'm doing the math for these boxes, is
Uh-huh.
it a combination of whatever I include with these two? Like if I made the splits at the same areas?
I would honestly make it more separated. I would put another box here, another box here, another box there. And
Inside
then
of the,
inside of the plaza,
is that just like a cutout in the ground essentially?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Or it could be a planter box. It could be raised or it could be a depression. Either way would
Okay.
be fine. But then this makes it more clear that this goes
Yeah.
into there. Because you wouldn't honestly drag all the water down here.
Mm.
You would try to separate them and you would want to make it closer to the building here.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then these little cutouts here, I was thinking about, am I able to use that as additional?
yes, this one you can use it, right?
Yep,
That one is on the ridge. You wouldn't be able to use it.
but I can keep a center.
You can keep it, yeah, you can keep it,
But
keep it as green.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can keep it vegetated, just it wouldn't
Yes.
serve a purpose. Okay.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
wouldn't collect water.
Yeah,
It's-
collect water,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm assuming same thing here, because a lot
Yes.
of the P3 could hit that.
Yes,
so-
yeah, I would use this one and that one, but not that one.
Okay. It got.
Yeah, you have a pretty good setup, because you can see, all your retention area can be in vegetated area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could have like just a ring of vegetation around
uh-huh,
those, okay.
yeah.
And then this, I got a little bit confused on how to do, like that whole area.
Oh, okay, so this
That's
is that's your swale.
Yeah, and another thing additional to that,
Mhm.
it's kind of a question in general.
Mm-hmm,
One of my critiques was that I need to figure out if I need another proposed contour in there, and I can't tell if I do or no. I'm just
Oh.
getting lost with that too.
right, you would need one more.
It would just be before then.
It would be
'Cause that's
one
five.
lower, yeah, that would be 4. So what you do is you measure 50 feet. If that's 50 feet,
Yeah.
then you do need one more.
Oh, okay, I see. So it'd
Yeah,
be like
somewhere a
kinda
little
right
bit,
in there.
yeah,
Okay. I'm
only a tiny little bit. That is 5, and this one,
Would just be the
same
floor.
thing. Maybe it's just barely touching,
But keep
but
it
this
in there.
one, yeah.
Okay.
The reason being, the slope here could go down below 2%.
Yeah,
That's why you need another contour,
yeah,
okay?
yep.
Yeah, so we go back to the plaza holes. You wouldn't divide it into, yeah, you wouldn't follow the swale line, because again, this water goes to the same destination as the other side.
So that whole thing right there would just be one block.
Yes, if
Okay,
you
that's
cut,
what I was thinking at first. I
Right.
was just like,
if you cut holes here, it would be this portion, the holes are not very effective because they are upstream.
I see, yeah,
Yeah, so that's how much water is going into the little holes.
now if I put the
Yeah,
holes
if you put the
further down-
holes here,
Oh,
then you would be
yeah.
able to collect more, right?
So
say-
could I
mhm.
just have like just 2 holes, just specifically?
You could.
Okay,
No, the upstream one would not be very effective though. You would want to put it,
further
for
down.
instance, if I put something over here,
Yep,
then the line would be that much.
okay,
So
Yeah, I
that's
see.
that's a
That's a
a
lot.
good amount of water.
Okay.
If you put it here, then it's only that tiny little bit, then it's for decoration,
Yeah.
not for stormwater.
gotcha.
Okay?
Yep, and
Good.
then I already figured out the answer to the Excel thing,
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's good.
Good. No, you're really close.
So
Hmm.
I just got a little mixed up. So the equation that we're using for this, that number that's getting generated, is that gonna be the area of the retention boxes or?
You
I don't
would
know.
have, you would have a lot of columns, right? You would have the drainage area that you delineated here.
Mhm.
Then you would have a column of the depth of the rain,
Okay.
right? If it's a green roof, it will be 1/2 inch. If it's a paved impervious, it will be 1 inch.
And that's the depth of the
The-
retention box.
No, that's the depth of the rain.
Oh, how much rain is gonna be
Yes.
coming off of that?
Right, and then the volume would be the drainage area multiplied by the depth of rain. Once you have the volume, you specify the depth of the retention area for it to be 1 foot or 1/2 foot, right?
Mhm.
And then you divide the volume by the depth of the retention area, you get the area of the retention area.
And that's how I figure out the size of those
Yes,
boxes. in the end
exactly.
then. Okay, I
exactly.
see now.
Yeah, yeah,
That makes
yeah.
so much more sense.
Yeah,
Okay, cool,
cool, good,
thank you.
good work. Lizzie? Okay. So what I'm seeing here is honestly some issues caused by your contour pattern. Okay, the contours needs to be revised first. Then your drainage area can be defined more correctly. So we don't have the grid yet, right? We need to have the 50-foot grid figured out first. and then we would have your, the delineation of the contour, the drainage area going on the other side. So it's still 12 o'clock. We have another hour. I would recommend that you know, work on this first. Okay, work on the contour pattern first. You know, having the 50 feet, you know, have, maybe not at that angle. Maybe at a more gentle angle like this. And then using, you have to figure out the contours first to move forward. You know, because eventually you need to grade the whole thing. Okay, you need to grade the whole thing, and okay, so use that as the foundation. Let's see your swale here. The base map. The base map, the dimension of the parking, also you need to verify that's the right dimension. And the dimension of the turnaround as well, okay? I would not recommend doing a single loaded parking, no, in this area. I would probably just, put some of the parking over here so that you don't have to have such a long parking lot. And it will be beneficial to have more parking spaces on this side as well, because this is flatter, okay? This is flatter, and this is getting to really steep area, okay? So I would definitely work on my base map in class today, okay? And if you have a draft, we can take a look at again, at the end of the reviews, okay? Okay, Will. Will, are you online? Is this your? I know we have two Wills. Not hearing anything. You try again. Still not hearing anything. Chat. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, she let me okay. Let's,
Hello,
yeah,
testing, can you hear me?
yes, now we can.
Okay,
You startled
sorry.
yeah, I turned on the speaker too loud. Okay. All right. So D looks okay. B, C. Oh, once we get down to the C, yeah, once we get down to the C, we have the same issue. Okay. The reason being that your swell is in the plaza, and honestly, it's very close to, well, it's not upstream enough, I would say. That means almost all the parking lot is draining to that swale, and you don't have a good way of intercepting them before they get to the swale. Let's see. The plaza's pretty small. In the front plaza, okay, you have a plaza between your drop-off and your parking lot. So that may make up for, okay. That, see. Let me try something here. What if we do one more? One more of that. Doesn't work. Okay. I think the reason was the ridge line was not that balanced. So that's why you kind of have to have your swell going in that direction. Well, let's work off your base and see how we can reduce the water coming down to the swell. Yeah, my concern is that too much of the water is going, just along the swell in the middle of the parking lot. So let me draw the ridge line first out. The ridge line had turned. So the I is correct. I is okay. Here. I is okay. You have
Just
some.
wanna clarify, that contour, here, let me see if I can circle it here. This contour and this contour is the same contour. So right here is another ridge. So it will drain out, and then the building will be higher as well, so it will drain out.
Right there is another ridge.
That's like the same contour right next to each other, that's the 9. So I'm saying
Okay.
in between, like directly in the middle, that will be 9.5. So that way it drains away at 2% and not into the building. Because it would be too flat if it was just flat 9 feet the whole way across there.
You wouldn't have a contour that is the same. You would have a contour that is above. Okay. So if this is this 7?
That's 8.
That's 8. Okay, this is 7. Yes, this is 7. And that's 8. This is 8, and this is 9. So this will be 10.
Okay, it's drawn right
This
now,
one will
so
be
they
10.
both 9 is like the way it's drawn. There is no 10. That's all one contour.
So we're going down here and then going down there. If you cannot go down here and then go up, right?
Wait, I'm confused. It's not going down. It's
basically just going down from your building. This is going all down from your building.
okay.
Yeah. Now, now I'm trying to figure out how to reduce the drainage from. There's nothing in between here that can help you. Well, what you could do is you could, make this a little bit wider. So this becomes a green. If this is a green, then you could cut half of that down. This is too light. So if this is green, the water, now here on the other side, on the south side of the medium, would be able to drain into the medium. So this whole thing goes into the green. Then you would be able to cut down the everything that drained down the swell into half. No, less than half, but similar. Now everything else. So if I'm water drip here, well, I can further cut a little bit out So this becomes another one. That goes into a retention somewhere here. Okay, no, and then the rest, essentially all the rest just continue to flow. Oh, my bad. Continue to flow down, everything here. Yeah, honestly, part of this as well. You could cut it down a little bit by having some green, but everything in the pink is going out of the swell. Oh, you can actually have some along the way here. Then, yes, you can cut it down. So for instance, if I'm cutting a hole here, then that becomes 1. And the rest become the pink that eventually will be treated by a retention somewhere there. Does that make sense? Microphone not working?
Yeah, it does. Makes sense.
Okay, cool, great. That's good. So this portion is good. And then on this side, we have, yeah, you started on this side. And this is, sorry. This portion makes sense. No, the whole thing doing sort of like that. And then you can use the green here, although it's not helping that much. And then this whole thing in between, you have a lot of green area. So that one, let's see, how can we treat this portion? Because this is under the curb and the lowest point, the lowest point is somewhere here. And you need to cut a hole to direct water out. Basically, you could have a trench drain. You could have trench drain that direct that water into this, okay? That arrow is too big, but you get the idea. So this purple, the pink, light purple goes into the green inside. And this, all the, this green, I do not want to use arrow anymore. So this also drains into your green here. And then the other ones, this much, right? Well, let me change the color again. This much also drains into, not much, not much. Yeah, not much is draining into the green in the middle. That's not necessary then. Then the rest of the driveway, not driveway, the plaza, they will just go to the side. Okay, so the whole thing here would not go to the side. They go into the swell. Sorry, I was misreading the contours. So basically everything else goes into the swell and then goes into the green. But the ones that are downstream from here, this portion, right? This portion and that portion, everything from here perpendicular, and then going to this perpendicular, this portion all goes down to somewhere here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Seems like it will help a lot, so. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, orange goes down and everything else on this side goes into the green in the center. A little bit goes into the green, not the green, goes into the parking lot here, but not a lot. So that little thing will drain into your parking lot here, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a tiny little bit, well, this is not sure if this is green or this is, well, it doesn't really.
That'll be part of the plaza. It's like a
Yeah.
parking barrier kind of thing.
Yeah, and the tiny little bit, there's a tiny little bit that drains into your parking lot down there, but everything else will drain into your green here. Okay. Yeah, I will make these revisions and then I will add the plaza, the back plaza and the roof. And then that's it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can you just wait 1 second so I can take a photo of this?
Sure.
All right, all good.
All right. Okay. Sherelle? Okay. Looking good. 1, 2, 3. I would use more of the green. Well, you are. Number 7 can be a little bit larger. 8 works. 9. Yeah, 9 could use a little bit of work. Then on the other side, yeah, you could use the green as well. Okay, the green can be so the green can be used a little bit better. That goes like this. Okay. So on this side, yeah, you can also use the green. Add a little bit more. For 7, you could make the 7 bigger. Okay. Make the 7 bigger. For 9, the problem here is the 9, okay? I would make 8 bigger like this. That's my 8. Reason being, all the water eventually drain to this lowest point. Okay? It drains into this lowest point. And then the lowest point can connect to the green here, which you have already indicated, which that's good, right? If you have a 9 like this, you would have two curb cuts. But notice that this portion of the water, this sliver of the water doesn't drain here. It drains to the lowest point here. The lowest point is different. Okay, the sliver here, that's the lowest point. So you need to cut a hole there, right? You need to cut a hole there to be able to direct water out. And you can use a DI there. That's not a huge amount of water there, so you could put it into a pipe. Or you could have a little thing cut out of the pavement on the plaza. So that little retention area can treat the 9, okay? The updated 9. Your plaza look good. Great. Your plaza are completely correct. The only thing missing is your back plaza. Okay, let's just add the back plaza in and then you're good to go. Okay, good work. Anything else?
So my questions, I have a question on what we saw.
So your sidewalk. Let me just clear so that I can see your sidewalk a little bit better. You have sidewalk, these sidewalk. You will just continue to draw these line because the sidewalk also drain to your retention, right? You know, the same, if the contour patterns on your sidewalk is the same as your parking lot, your sidewalk also drains that direction. So it's the same. You can just include them into your calculation. That's on that side. On this side, your sidewalk is on top of the plaza, so they should be the same as your plaza color. That makes sense? So you have a line here extending to the edge of the curb, and all these should be purple, should be 16, okay? Same thing, this should be dark purple along this line. For the sidewalk over here, it just keep draining into your green area, right? So it will be the same, as 8. Because 8 and the sidewalk and your 8 drains to the same destination. Okay? So that's that. Zone 13 is small. Well, honestly, you don't have to have, okay. If we go back to what I drew for your green area there, this is your 12 now. Okay, your updated 12. And these 13 is actually that big. You can combine it with 11 if you want to, but you want to verify that the area is actually smaller than 5,000. Okay? You can further divide this light purple if that's too big. But you can see that your 13 is bigger than you had before. Okay? All right. Next one is, would there also be curbs leading up to the bus drop off? Yeah, the curbs are along here.
I was asking. There's the buyer is outside of the curb.
Mhm.
Would it go outside or go into a drain?
So basically you have a curb cut. Let me draw a cross section for you here.
Around it.
So you have a curb here. And then that's your parking lot. I'm dramatically, kind of exaggerating its slope. And if your sidewalk is the same slope, 2% here sloping away, that's your sidewalk, you would be cutting a curb cut over here, right? That's a curb cut. And you will have a drain across the curb, across the sidewalk. And then this is where let me get rid of that. So you would have a trench drain over here. Basically, this is a pipe. And there's a cut over here again. Then you would have your retention area like this. Okay, this is your retention. Does that make sense? Yes, it will, the pipe, the curb cut, and then you have a pipe going across your sidewalk, and then there is an exit out of that sidewalk, and then you have your retention. Okay? Yeah. All right. You're asking anything missing from your legend? Okay. Well, you would inherit all the base map elements, right? you have existing vegetation, you have fence, I'm not sure. Okay, the fence is from before the base map. You have draining let. I think for this one, do you need to have curb cuts? Is there curb cut requirement from the let's take a look at the final. So you would have color code, impervious surfaces, and grading rubric for calculation table. Base map corrections. So all the base map elements from before needs to be inherited. Then you have that calculation, visual representation. Yeah, you don't need to have curb cuts and everything, so that's okay. Okay, good. Now, contour sidewalk curb. You need to have stairs. Well, you need to have a few more lines, okay, for each types of pavement, and also retaining wall, right? Retaining wall is missing at this point. And then contour number, right? Contour numbers needs to be on here. So I don't see additional ones from the rainbow exercise, except for, you know, the colored blocks indicate drainage areas, and the smaller, I would. So you have bioretention area small, they don't correspond yet. So I'm not sure, you definitely need to change your table here, okay? Your table, it's better if you use uppercase letter for the drainage area and a small case letter for your retention area, so that we clearly see the correspondence. All right, yeah. Otherwise, the legend is mostly about your base maps. Okay. Okay, moving forward with Alexandra. Is Alexandra here? Am I pronouncing it incorrectly again? Alex? Is Alex here? Okay. Is Lars here?
Yes.
Okay. So looking good so far, and keep going. I would want to see where the plaza line is. So somewhere here, if you can show me where the plaza line is, that would be good. Here. Oh, here, right? That's your plaza line?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. I would use the green here, although I would check the radius. It doesn't seem like you have enough driving aisle width there. It needs to be 25. Okay, so your green here might be very small, which makes it probably not so useful. This area, this portion, on this side, I would say you need to make it more perpendicular. That's perpendicular. The same thing, check the radius here. On that side, also needs to be perpendicular. So it feels like everything here would drain into the green. Well, let me go back. This is the ridge line. it would not be divided by a line that is not perpendicular to a contour. So if the contour line look like this, I would straighten it. I would not curve it along the ridge line, okay? So if this is the line, then it goes like that. And this one goes like this. Goes like that. So for this portion, everything is actually draining to your green here. So I might just use the outline of the green here. Okay, so this is all the water that drains into the green. Okay, that way, this way. So if this is too big, then you divide it into two, something like this. All right, if it's not too big, that can just be one of them, all right? And same thing here, I would do perpendicular. Okay, so that needs to be like this. Oh, actually goes that way. That's your second one, right? And then you just keep going. Now the third one would look like something like this. And depending on how big this is, you can divide it into two. Now I need to look at where your swell starts. This is like that. And is this the next one? Well, check the contour spacing here. I don't think this is 50 feet away. It will be more like that. So it could be your contours looking like this. And then this one, again, I'm going 50 feet. Yeah, you might have something really small like that here as your next contour. Not sure which one is it. So we should check the number. That's 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8. And this seems like 9. That's, well, you double check these contour numbers. Okay, so that's probably 8. I think that's probably 8. Okay, and you might have another contour somewhere here, depending on the distance. You would want to check this distance, okay? This distance for that to be 50 feet. So those are the contours. Now I know your swell goes that way. Okay, goes this way. And then this one goes that way. Okay. Like that. This goes like this. Not very accurate, but you get the idea. Okay. So if that's the case, let's think about how can we make you have an upper plaza, but the circle here is on the ridge, so it's not actually receiving water for other places, right? But again, it's good to have something that's not paved. At least it's not generating water. How can we further divide it? Let me raise this one so then see it a bit better. So the first, you would want to make it clear that this stops at the curb. Okay, so these come out from a curb cut, but everything else is upper plaza, right? And there is no all these water up until here, this is draining, eventually will drain to the swell. This is your upper plaza on the other side of on this side of the ridge. And everything sort of drains eventually toward the swell line. But your division here also makes sense. If I cut it down here, then I can put a retention somewhere here. That makes sense? So this portion can go into my pink circle, right?
Mhm.
And everything else goes, no, if I put another one here, then I can divide this somewhere like this. Well, it doesn't really receive that much. It receives, depending on where it is. If I move it down here and make it linear, let me draw it instead. If I make it linear like this, then it's going to be able to collect that much. Still not a lot, but not negligible, right? I'm just gonna delete that one. So this much water can come down in here. All right. And then the light purple or light blue will be this third one. Maybe I should not use that color. But that's the third one that's corresponding to that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. On the other side, something that I would recommend that you change some of your design is I would probably only have a sidewalk somewhere here. And then for the middle, just like for the middle, it would be green. Because you can see your dark green and your light yellow, they are generating runoff and then they actually go into your parking lot. And we want to try to avoid that, right? So the only surface that it's generating runoff on top of the plaza would be this little sidewalk. And there's a small sidewalk over here. And in the middle, you would have green here. You would have green and then no additional drainage area generating runoff. Okay. So there's some water, so some of the plaza will drain into your drop-off area. This thing, that much will be draining into your drop-off area. Does that make sense? It will drain into the parking lot and then concentrate eventually down to the lowest point. So it drains into under the curb, okay, not under the curb, off the curb on the parking lot. And the other green will drain eventually to the swell and come down here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. What you can actually do is actually cut one more hole here. So then your green wouldn't be so big. And if you put something here, that also helps. Let's see how much it helps. It's not helping that much, it's helping this much. Okay, so I would probably just cut a hole or, okay. Let me erase this because these are not reducing too much of my runoff. How about if I put a hole here? If that's the case, then I will be able to treat all the way up here. Again, I'm reducing that hole there all the way here and then like this. This much water will be able to go into that pink circle that just cut. Does that make sense?
And then if I did like a longer one, then that time frame would also kind of be taken care of too.
Yes, yeah, but I doubt that that's necessary anymore because, you know, we could treat that as, you know, I'm just gonna base, sheet flow down the plaza. Because this is plaza water, it's not so dirty, so that would be acceptable. So you don't actually need to cut off another hole to treat that water, very seriously. Okay? All right, good. Okay, I think we have one more. Is how you're here?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, so cool. I think the thing that I spotted here pretty clearly was this line. Okay, that line is following the contour, and that is not correct. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So this is following the contour. That is not correct, okay? We should continue to, and this line is also not perpendicular to the contour, so it should be like this. It should be like this, and because that's pretty small, we can keep moving it, you know, to down slope, so it becomes a little bigger. Like this could be the first one. Perpendicular to the contour would be more like this. Okay, so your first one is actually that one. Does that make sense? And then the second one would be something like this. Okay, and this blue is correct. Reason being, it could just flow into the green inside, but it wouldn't be the same color as the blue here. Okay, so these two are the are a separate one, right? You could add one more. You could add one more using the green here, the small one, but it's not nothing. Okay, so that's an additional one. And then you could calculate what's left. Calculate how big this is. If this is too big, and then cut it into half. But I think it might be okay. And also the same recommendation as one of the previous submissions. I would reduce the plaza paving here. Reason being, you know, you essentially will have something as a curb cut here to direct your water out, because this is the lowest point. Okay, this is the turnaround, the lowest point. You have a curb. How do I get water out? I need to cut through it. And I don't want the pavement. I don't want to put additional pipe under the pavement to get that water out. So if you have enough space for people to walk here, and once they get off, I would reduce that pavement. So that's that. On the other side, I would use the green area here. Okay, I would use that green area. It's actually this much. This is pretty big. And you do need to calculate to see if you have enough space here in order to do that. If not, then you would just need to make it smaller. Okay, make it smaller like that. Okay. And I would use also the green area here. That's also that's also something, right? It's not nothing. And I would stop, right? I would stop my delineation on my curb. Well, your curb is right here, because water will not keep flowing once they hit the curb onto your plaza. Your plaza water would eventually all go to your swale. Okay? And on this side, we do need to see a little bit more detail of which one, well, all these, okay, all these will flow into, including that, no, all these, the sidewalk here will also flow into your parking lot, but the sidewalk starting from here would not, okay? They will keep flowing down in this direction and to your swale and then eventually somewhere here. And you need to see if all these plaza and part of the sidewalk together exceeds 5,000. If it does, then you need to put something in the middle. Okay, put something in the middle here. That will take care of part of the water. Same thing on this side. Everything is draining to your swale. I still think your swale is a little bit too close to your building. And you need to put something, if this is exceeding 5,000 square feet, you need to put something in the middle or cut a hole in the plaza area. Looks like it's going to be okay. You don't have a huge, plaza. And otherwise, we need to add the buildings in the back plaza. Okay, so that's the critique about the parking lot and the plaza and the drop off. Let me zoom out a little bit to see your questions, okay?
So for the building and the plaza, we also need to build the color,
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, back plaza, yeah.
like including the building?
Building roof,
Building, oh, okay.
yes. The corner here, yeah, I think we went through the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else?
Oh, I think I just asked if like my color selections are great and I don't really know how to make like the chart for colors.
The color chart, well,
Yeah, like.
so you can do this chart in Excel first, right? Do it in Excel first, and then you could do a screenshot. That's the easiest way. Or you can actually print out a table in PDF, which makes it vector. You know, vector based, it will be a little bit higher quality. But at the minimal, you could just print out the screenshot of the Excel.
So there's no way that we can just make that thing inside of, the AutoCAD?
Good question. You could, but it will require you to combine you would export the screenshot to your CAD. You would need to draw these with CAD.
Okay.
Otherwise, no. So this is a separate thing, and the table is a screenshot.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you won't be able to match the color.
you could type the number code into CAD too,
Mm-hmm.
like if you get the code
Yeah.
from the selection, and then you can like, I think paste that into the table in Excel.
That's cool. Yeah. Anything else?
That'll be it. I'm just basically don't know how to make that.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to export the PDF, if you like Illustrator, it could also be really easy. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay. And
Yeah.
so I also have like a pedestrian line for my bus drop off.
mm-hmm.
Is that part also goes with the plaza or like it will be like the sidewalk right next to my parking lot that goes with the parking?
It depends. You know, again, I would recommend going back to the water drop, right? If I'm a water drop here, if there was, if I can, let me try to, probably be hard to match. If I'm just, no. It's okay. we'll just start. If I am delineating for this, you could kind of see most of the water. Most of the sidewalk also drains in the same direction as the parking lot,
Yes.
right? So you can imagine that they would either just flow off the curb to the vegetated area, or part of this, especially the ones at the bottom, they would drain into a retention area. So this portion, they do not contribute to the plaza. All right, but when you get to this area, when you get to here, it's part of the plaza. So you do need to pay attention to which part of the sidewalk drains and joins the swale, and which actually just drains off the curb. Off the curb and then into your retention area. And another thing is, this is pretty kind of detailed. Later on, when you're doing the actual grading, for instance, you know, if I am drawing the contours again, let's use a pink color. This is when the contours hit the curb. I could totally just turn this contour on the sidewalk, right? And they don't even have to be parallel. They just need to create enough side slope so my water will just drain off to the side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is getting pretty fine detailed. So for the purpose of this exercise, for this portion of the sidewalk, you just combine it with the dark purple.
Okay.
But for this portion of the sidewalk, you combine it with the plaza.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right, you're welcome. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions? I'm gonna be here.
Sorry, are
Yeah.
these chronological, like the order of the PDFs?
I believe it's based on last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think I went to the wrong group initially, but I'm 160, so I wasn't sure if I was at the end, but I think but I can watch it on Zoom.
What? Did I not go through yours?
I think you might have, and I was sitting in the wrong area.
Oh,
so
oh,
I
okay.
couldn't, like, watch it.
What's your name?
Madeline Ryan.
Oh, okay. All right, got it. Not this one. Okay, we'll go through that. So, first thing that I noticed, you know, you want to use the green, right? So I would do something like this, change a different color. This one. So this portion actually would go into your green area. Okay, and this whole thing here would go into your green. It would not cross the medium and go to the other side. And if this is too big, I'm just gonna divide it into, you know, maybe 3 parts, depending on how big they are, okay? And there's a little tiny bit of here that can go into the green, but it's okay if it doesn't. All right, if you want to combine it with the others, no, let's just go ahead and combine it because it's not, well, we can have a curve cut here anyway, but this is a curve cut here. It's not going to collect a lot of water from this side. So those are for this side. Those look okay. These look okay. Your G can be combined with H because G here is pretty small, right? G and H, if they together does not exceed 5,000, you can combine them. So I'm looking again at where the curb is. The curb seems to be here in color.
I was wondering, like, with
left.
the curb in the plaza in general, would the plaza like just continue to be the same height as the. curve.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so this is 6 inches below.
Yeah,
So this light green would not be inside, well, this will be part of H. Does that
Okay.
make sense? So
Yeah.
these two should be the same because they flow to the same location, right?
that makes sense.
And then on this side, let's see,
I like I've been like working on it. I put,
Yeah, this
a
side-
little circle
mm-hmm,
or like drainage in the middle of the bus turnaround, like the radius in the middle.
this side, it will be perpendicular to the contour, so if that's too small, we'll just move it to here. So that becomes your first one. And then, now the next one, I would again, look at the green here, okay? My green would be able to receive this much, that's not a lot, which is okay. But this one is that. And everything else would actually kind of flow into the green here. So that's your second one. Does this make sense?
Yeah. that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and then if it's too big, we just cut it down to half, okay? So this goes here, that goes there, and this goes there. Right? And for the bottom one, it's the same thing, you need to use the perpendicular to the contour. So that could be the second one, right? And then keep going. Yeah, I think that the issue was you went with the perpendicular to the contour on this side, but not this side.
Yes.
Oh, there's an issue. I didn't see, but it wasn't perpendicular to the contour. So your contours are like this. Right? Your contours are like this, which means your division of the retention area needs to be like that. In this case, I would actually recommend that you tilt your contours a bit more to something like this. This will make your life a lot easier. Reason being, if you have really long flow path, you can kind of see my delineation. If I use the previous one, it's like this. You know, everything is flow along, a long path from the beginning of the parking lot to the end of the parking lot. And your green area is not receiving anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would recommend that you actually rotate your contour and see, even, if I rotate it like this, that's too much. But if I rotate it like this, it should make your drainage design a lot easier. Then it just means that we need to rotate this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, we need to change these. So that will become like this, and then this line will be something like that. In that case, I will just put it down there. Okay? Yeah, so that's probably more like it. All right?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's actually worth doing this part because you can see I'm getting a pretty sizable area here. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So on this side, I think we're good because we were following the contour. Let me use the same color, orange. So this is your contour, and that's your contour. And this is that one. And it seems like this is the swell.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't arrange it.
yeah. We can actually, yeah, I think that's a better one. You just need to attach it to the wall here. So then my swell goes like that. okay? Like this. On, for this part, we're actually running out of space for retention. You can kind of see all the water, it's draining this way, right? It's draining that way. And then the lowest point, let me just get rid of the swell line. Lowest point is here. And we need retention area here, probably like there. And then the swell is actually going this direction as well. So it's a little hard.
I do cut in like the bus radius, like in the center, in the bus turnaround to do bioretention.
You could
I see.
have a median, an island there. You could have a median island there. The issue remains that we need some space. We need space here at the bottom. Let's see. What if we turn it a little bit more? Yeah, it doesn't help that much. Oh, doesn't help that much. It seems like it's unavoidable that your swell goes goes into your drop-off area. Good news is that you don't have a lot of plaza area in this area, so that's okay. Well, let's just use for this, we just use the base of your design here. So you would have some going into here. I don't want to use that. Okay. So you would have another portion, something like this goes here. So we can, if you want to make it smaller, we can. No, you can adjust the pink line so that this can be smaller. But eventually everything else is actually going into your swell. So also let me try to mark up the curb line. This is your curb line. So you see everything is going into your drop off, meaning that at the end here, you need a big retention area. Yeah, you don't have green inside here. So that seems to be your pavement line there. This go that way. Let's go that way. You could make some holes somewhere here, make this one smaller, but everything here is actually going into your, yeah. This is the only outlet you have.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess, there's really, unless we change your contours, dramatically, this is what we have to deal with. So it just means basically everything here and everything here goes into the same area. All right, okay. Yeah, if you want to cut holes, you can cut some holes in the plaza to just reduce the drainage area. But otherwise, no, that's really all that you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
that makes
All right.
sense. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
okay, good.
Understand.
Mhm.
I definitely wanted, I don't know, I was having issues already with the contours not being as
Uh-huh.
angled, so.
Yeah,
I'm better than.
cool, good.